Well, hey Joe, welcome back to another episode. It's been a few weeks, and not because we haven't been doing stuff with Vector Accelerator. In fact, quite the opposite. I think we've gotten busier and busier in the past month. We have fully integrated our Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday live meetups. We call them Azimuth Chats. We've integrated that with Allegiant Vets, our favorite partner in the world. Plus you want to dance with the girl you brought, so they want to partner with us as well. And now in every single Azimuth Chat live Zoom meetup, Tuesday, Wednesday, there's like 500 plus veterans showing up. Give us a little insight to what that's been like. You've been hosting 1/3 of them for the past month.
Yeah, it's really cool to see this thing grow. I mean, I think back when we had the idea 5 years ago, maybe now, of the potential, and to actually be on a call. Just yesterday, you and I were on a call with 588 people.
Yep.
That's a lot of people on one Zoom call.
Yeah.
I don't know anybody else is doing that. And it's really neat to ask them questions like, what are your assumptions about, your next, the next chapter as far as civilians? Like, what are your assumptions about civilians? And what are the assumptions you think they have about you? And just to get that input and the feedback from live of the things that maybe are challenging for them. And what's neat too is because with that many people on a call, not everybody can talk.
Right.
But if you have like 3 or 4 voices, and there's always somebody there to raise their hand.
Yeah.
As they say what they're feeling inside on the chat in that Zoom call, there's a million responses. Yep, me too. Oh my gosh, how about this or that? In between some funny memes, because it's a military audience, so there's going to be some funny banter in there. Yep. But a lot of relatable conversations, even the stuff that may seem like it's in left field. With that many people on the call, there's probably 2 or 3 that can feel that. But most of the conversation is very relevant. It's usually robust. It's absolutely something they can pull in the moment and implement in their transition. I mean, that's. If I had to justify why we do what we do, it's not just to talk about feelings. These are actionable things that come up in the moment that they can therefore execute. And it might not even be something you and I say. It could be just a sidebar conversation, and they're like, "Oh man, I'm going to try that out." It's really great. So I love Marcus that he creates this for us, and he's a great partner. And dude, he has the energy from when he brings us on in the beginning of that call. 3 hours later, he's like, "Man, I love everything you guys are doing." He's like, I don't know if that guy sleeps or what, but he's on fire, man. I love Marcus. That's cool.
One of my favorite parts yesterday, there's a guy, we asked someone to go first and kind of share a personal example from their life, a story from their past that it means something to them and matters. And we were as he was sharing that, it was our job to facilitate the community, giving him feedback to try to help him see some patterns or themes. And it was cool because we've done that countless times. And I would say every single time we're in that moment, I think to myself, oh God, please work. Because this is going to be really awkward if it doesn't, pick a card, any card. And it happened to work for this guy. People shared things back to him. And at first I thought, cool. He shared a story about just being a great neighbor, always being present to people who are in need. And people, so the simple prompt was, all right, y'all, what do you hear from him as he shares that? And people are just writing things in the chat, servant, kind, like just normal things. And I easily would have missed that. And instead it really seemed to touch him. Like it really seemed to be a surprise for him to receive that. So that's what I want to talk about just for this short episode, is like the idea that we think we see ourselves clearly, and yet we often don't. We don't see the whole story. And I think I'm more convinced after yesterday than I have been a long time that we need each other to see ourselves clearly. And it was such a beautiful moment that he could have that from a bunch of strangers to say, that's who you are.
I loved his expression when it started sinking in that, hey, this is how people viewed him from the stories that he shared with you. And then it was neat to follow up and saying, dude, what does it feel like to hear that or see that or read that? And you could tell he's like, well, this feels awkward because I don't think of myself as me. I don't think of myself that way. I'm like, exactly. That's why we're doing this. Because everything that you're seeing that's on the themes that are coming up from people hearing your story, those things are not going to show up in your resume.
Right.
Like what's showing up in your resume is the hard skill sets, the things that you did in the military that translate to business, but who you are. Like, I want to know if I'm going to hire you in my company, who are you?
That's
Like,
right.
You're more than the skills list that I see in the job description or your resume. I want to know who's going to show up, who's going to be dedicated, who's all in.
Yeah.
And then I loved how you said, okay, now that's the stuff you need to share openly in an interview. And he was kind of like, huh. And you're like, that story you shared with us, use that story. Use that.
That's who I am. There's another guy, I wrote down his quote. He said, I've never had to reflect on myself until this whole transition thing. And I'm like, we should put it on the website. That's exactly what Vector Accelerator is. You're in over your head. You're disoriented. You're in the whitewash. And you've never had to do this before. Chances are you enlisted when you were still a kid.
Yeah.
And you didn't have to do it then. And now here you are. And you have to think about yourself, make decisions based on that clarity, and then communicate. And it's just a lot more than people can typically handle. So that it's a beautiful thing to be able to hold that space or create that space for folks to think about themselves. And there was a little pushback yesterday. There was a guy that was like, hey, I know myself really well. I'm just curious your thoughts on that, because that we're not strangers to that sentiment. There's always more than one. But there's typically one that's pretty vocal in any group.
Yeah. And I mean, here's the thing is like, we hear people say that, and are they really doing the self-reflection? Or are they following maybe a book prompt that they read as a recommendation from somebody? Oh, follow this checklist and do some self-reflection.
Yeah.
I don't know how genuine it is. Obviously our hope is that it's real and that it's helpful for them.
Yeah.
And it's also a realization that, hey, Vector is something that we know works because we've seen 10 years of it work with special operators over the years. We've seen it work now with Allegiant veterans that are landing roles and jobs that are coming back saying, dude, thank you for that help. Thank you for that insight. So it's not just Honor Foundation. It's now we're seeing other organizations use Vector for themselves. At the end of the day, though, is everybody ready to do some self-reflection to the level that we're asking them to?
Yeah.
I hope, but this isn't necessarily for everybody all the time. So all we can do is invite.
Yeah.
But I will say, like, I even the people that say, oh yeah, I've done it before, man, I wouldn't doubt in a few years, maybe the things we're talking about now might sink in later on in their life. And they might say, oh, dang, I now know I need to go back, and I have a tool, I can go back to Vector and kind of use this to help me out. So yeah. I mean, that's kind of how I see it. That's what I hear. I hope they're on the right track. That's all I can do. Yeah.
Well, the challenge we gave folks yesterday was, this is obviously a nice environment where other people are going through transition, but the idea that you need other people to help you see yourself is real. And so the challenge, I don't know who followed through or how many, but the challenge was text a friend right now, someone that you trust. It could be someone you're married to, someone you grew up with, someone that is in your family, or just someone you worked with, and just send the text that says, hey, can we sit down soon as I go through transition? And I want to share some stuff that I'm thinking and get your real feedback. And that alone is structure. That's what we would call curriculum. That's a path to take that's going to help you get to clarity. And there's going to be all these other byproducts too. You might get affirmed and feel seen and validated, which is really nice. You might step into things you never really were sure about yourself. You'll also get support from people that can help you remember who you are in case you ever get off track. So let's just end this episode with a sweet moment. Joe, thanks for doing that for me. And thanks for always helping me see myself more clearly. And I will commitment to you. I'll help you do that as well. So this is Vector Accelerator. This is the work, and we want everybody to do it. No holds barred.